The Scottish Highlands, celebrated worldwide for their beauty and grandeur, have a bloody history. Ancient hatreds are written into this landscape. For centuries, this was a war-torn country where murderous rivalries reigned supreme. Family versus family, clan versus clan. Today, millions of people claim Highland ancestry or a link to the great clan names which shaped the history of Scotland. I'm going in search of the extraordinary stories behind the tartan and pageantry, a quest for a shared and often violent past, tracing the rise and fall of Scottish clans, starting with my own Clan Gregor. The journey into my own family's MacGregor ancestors begins with a bloody feud with Clan Campbell, when the very name MacGregor determined if you lived or died. This is the shattered ruin of Finlarg Castle on the banks of Loch Tay. Once a stronghold of Clan Campbell, it's a place of infamy and horror for all MacGregors. There's a really brooding and oppressive atmosphere here at Finlarg Castle. According to local legend, this hole in the ground is the infamous beheading pit. The story goes that Campbells and their dinner guests would gather up at the castle and watch the execution of MacGregors below. You know, it makes me shudder to think that standing here 400 years ago, I could well have been staring down at the severed heads of my own family. In the 17th century, simply bearing the name MacGregor made you a target for the hatred of Clan Campbell, a hatred that reached heights of extraordinary cruelty. The Campbells, it's said, specially bred a pack of hounds to hunt down the MacGregor quarry. Now, these great beasts, the coin-dew or black dogs, were supposed to have been nurtured on the milk of suckling MacGregor women so they could better track down their victims. Such bloody tales, whether true or legendary, are a common feature of all clan histories. But what relevance do they have for 21st century life? In Scotland, very few of us are more than a degree of separation away from Highland history, either through birth, marriage, or simply living among so many people with their own clan stories. Now, I'm a case in point, because despite the Merton name, my family claims a Highland past that connects me and my kids to the MacGregor story. Now, it's an amazing fact that genealogy is the biggest thing on the internet, after pornography, of course. There are thousands and thousands of sites devoted to tracing your family roots. It's as if understanding the past and your personal history helps answer the big questions in life, like who am I, where do I come from? And belonging to a clan provides an answer of sorts. But if, like me, you're not called MacGregor, how can you belong to the clan? Richard MacGregor of the Clan Gregor Society helps me unravel the complexities of clan membership. My Gaelic's not fantastic, Richard, but I do understand that clan roughly translates as children. Now, does that mean that all MacGregors or all people with a clan name are related in some way?
Well, they can be, but it doesn't mean just family, it doesn't mean just children. It means a kind of extended family, a kind of tribe, if you like, of people who are associated together, and often the nucleus are people who are related to each other, but around them are people who are associated with them. Often it would be for protection, somebody who's more powerful living in the area, and you want to, you know, because there's lots of raiding going on, and it's quite dangerous to live, you know, on your own, isolated. So you'd want to be associated with somebody who could protect you.
Does that mean to say that you've really got, within a clan structure, sort of two levels of belonging, and you've got the kind of the first class, you know, the first division MacGregors would be at the centre, they are related, yeah?
Yes.
And then around them you've got second division guys who are there for protection, they can sort of hide under the umbrella of that clan's identity.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, but that's our perspective on it. I don't think people in the 14th century would have thought of themselves as first and second division, although the people who adopted the name would probably be more likely to be less influential in the politics of the area.
Our Highland clans emerged in the 13th century from a much earlier tribal society. But from what Richard is saying, clan membership was quite a loose thing, so not all MacGregors were born MacGregor. The next stage of my journey takes me back in time 700 years and into the heart of MacGregor country, to Dalmally in Argyll. Padraig MacNeill is the present-day official Clan Gregor bard. A man who knows the importance of dressing for the occasion, Padraig also knows how having the right name, the right ancestors, can make you more MacGregor than others. We met in the village kirk's MacGregor burial ground.
Now, it seems that your job within the clan is in a sense to be like an oral database. You've got all the stories, you've got all the genealogy there. Now, pedigree is so important to Highland clans. Now, why is that?
Vitally important. Let's look at it, for example, in a military context. The Highland officers would stand in the front line of the Highland Army all the way through history. Those who were their subordinates or dependents would stand behind them. The noble pedigree was very important because they didn't have to be disciplined like their lowland or English counterparts. Their pride in ancestry made them stand strong at the time of the battles. And the bard, on the time of the battle, would get the warriors to strike upon their shield, called the Baim Skiai, and recite the Brausen Hakaha, the incitement to war, declaiming their ancestors and their heroic deeds to make sure they would not turn in the face of the enemy. Vitally important.
If pride in ancestry lies at the heart of clanship, then to walk among the graves of the ancestors, some dating back to the 13th century, makes this a special place for all of us with a MacGregor connection.
It's amazing to think that these stones once covered the bones of MacGregor chiefs, some of the earliest MacGregor chiefs. And for you, as the MacGregor bard, this must be quite an emotive place to be.
Oh, I can feel the hairs in the back of my neck prickling up. This must have been the proudest moments of my life, standing here and in front of this medieval grave where there are layers of history. The ancient chiefs are buried, of the royal blood, of the noble seed, of Gregor, Gregor and Sliantanora, whose motto was, "It's Rioghal Mo Dhream, royal is my race."
Despite their royal claims, the MacGregors' hold over these lands was soon threatened by an ambitious clan on the make, Clan Campbell. In the 16th century, the rivalry between these two erupted in bloody feud, driven by personal hatred between Callie and Leith, that's Grey Colin Campbell, and the young MacGregor chief, Gregor Roy. Callie and Leah, Grey Colin Campbell, had its power base at Kilchurn Castle on Loch Orr. It was from here in the 1540s that the Campbells launched a vicious campaign against their close neighbours, Clan Gregor. But according to Dr. Martin MacGregor, the two clans weren't always at loggerheads.
The initial relationship which was forged between them seems to have been a positive one. In this part of the world, the MacGregors were initially at the ruling level, if you like, of society. They lost that position to the Campbells as Campbell power grew in the later 14th century, but that didn't result in the MacGregors being expelled from this part of the world at that stage.
It's a kind of symbiotic relationship then.
Absolutely. The big question becomes, however, how long can that last? It's fine as long as both kindreds are benefiting, are both moving in the same direction in terms of their social status, etc. But if you get a scenario whereby, for example, as turned out, Campbell power starts to wane and the MacGregors are still on the rise, then you have a potential recipe for conflict.
This is the origin of the infamous feud between the MacGregors and the Campbells. In the 16th century, Callie and Lear wanted to rein in the growing power of the MacGregors. To do this, he put pressure on the young MacGregor chief, Gregor Roy, murdering his brother and buying his ancestral lands. Gregor Roy was now faced with a choice: buckle down and accept Campbell's superiority, or go to war.
So which path did Gregor Roy choose?
He chooses the path of conflict. He stands up against the Campbells. In late 1562, he gathers the clan. They make a murderous attack